Hi there, and welcome back to my channel Full Stack Explorers. As you know, we have just completed our second series on Fresh.js framework, which was on e-commerce site. In today's video, we will start a new series on authentication and authorization in Fresh.js. I'll explain how it's work and how we can use middleware in Fresh.js to set the authorization. Let's get started now. As you can see, I have opened up the Fresh.js website. They have changed their UI recently though. Let's copy the link to create a new project in Fresh.js. Alright, open the terminal and paste the link here and press enter. I'll name the project Authentication-Authorization. We will use Tailwind as usual. As the project is created now, let's open the project now. As I'm in VS Code, open the terminal and start the project by typing Deno task start and press enter. As the project is started, let's check that in the browser now. As you can see, the project is started now and we have no issues here. Get back to VS Code again. Alright, let's delete unnecessary files first. In index.tsx, I'll add a text for our homepage whenever user come back or log in. Welcome back, Full Stack Explorers. Show that text. Alright, as it's done, let's add Daisy UI here. I'll paste the CDN links which we used in our last project here. As per theme, we will use the same theme as we used in the last project, which named dim. Now in index.tsx file, which is the main entry of our file, let's add some styling here to show the text a little bit brighter. Alright, let's check the changes in the browser now to check how it's looking so far. As you can see, it's looking perfect now. We have the same theme and the home page is showing the text too. As you know, in the last video, we worked on setting up our project with Daisy UI. In today's video, we will work on login and register pages. Let's get started now. Open new tab and search for Daisy UI. Click on first link and then clicked on See Components. Scroll down a bit and look for input fields. There we have some input fields made by Daisy UI. We will use these fields for project. Click on JSX and copy the code from here. Open the project again. As I'm in the VS Code. Create a new folder in routes folder with the name of login. In that folder, create a new file index.tsx. In the file, create an export method and name that method as login2. Let's make the div as a fragment here. In that fragment, I'll add login page as a component here, which we will create just now. In islands folder, create a new folder with the name of auth. In that folder, create a file, login page. Create an export method here too, and paste the code which we copied from Daisy UI here. As we don't need search field here, so remove that field from here. Now make an adjustment of fields here. First, the username field need to be here, then email and password. Alright, now in the parent div of that login page, let's show fields in the center by adding some Tailwind styling here. Alright, let's take a button from Daisy UI. As I'm in Daisy UI site, click on button on sidebar. Scroll down a bit, now click on JSX. Copy the success button code from here. Get back to the project again. Now paste the code below of last field, which is password. Now change the text to login as it's a login page. Now copy the whole page code. Before moving further, let's remove username filed from above as we will let user to log in with just email. The user can enter username on registration. Alright, now create a new folder in the routes folder. This time the folder name will be register. In that folder, we create a new file index.tsx. In that file, we will create an exported default method here. I'll name the method as register. In that method, I'll create register page as a component here, same like we did in the login section. Let's create this file in islands folder. In that file, I'll remove the code which I copied before modifying the login page. I'll change the method name to register page from bottom and above. Now in the register file, I'll call the method there. Alright, everything is set up now. Let's check the changes in the browser now. As I'm in the browser, let's go to register page first. As you can see, we have 3 fields and a button now. Let's check the login page now. Great, it's looking fine as expected. Just to inform you guys on one thing, I'm not particularly focusing on UI right now. We can make that UI more better, but I'll take that part to you guys. As you know, in the last video we worked on login and register pages UI. Today we will work on integration of both login and register pages. Let's get started now. As I'm in the login page, create a state here using useState. This state will hold all user-entered data. We will add the initial value as an empty strings for all 3 fields here. Alright, now in the username input field, we will add value as userdata.username. And on change method, we will create an anonymous method, and in that method, we will set the user data value. The user data will get the object of all values user entered, and we will change the username value as entered value. We will repeat the same process in both below fields too. Alright, let's create a submit handler above which used to submit the user entered data. This method will be an asynchronous, and we will add try catch here. In catch block, we will throw error on console. In try block, we will use Axia to call the API. The endpoint will be /API/auth/register. After that, we will send the user entered data to the server. Below, if the response.status is equal to 201, which means created, we will redirect the user to login page. Finally, scroll down a bit. Here, add an onClick method here and call that method here. Alright, the register page is ready now. Let's do the integration on login page now. Copy the state from registered page and page that state here in login page. Now as login page, we don't have username, remove it from the state. Now do the same thing here as we did in register page. As it's done now, let's add a submit handler here too. Alright, to save time, copy the code of submit handler from register page and paste it here in login page. Here we will do some modifications like, the endpoint will be login not register. The status will be 200, which mean OK. We will redirect user to home page as user logged in. Before redirecting user to home page, we will set the token in the local storage, which we are getting from response.data.token. Lastly, scroll down a bit. Here, add an onClick method here and called that method here. Alright, it's set now. The login page is ready too. The only thing left is to make APIs for it, which we will make in the next videos. As you know, in the last video we made the UI for login and register pages, and also did the integration in both pages too. In today's video we will work on connecting the MongoDB with our Fresh.js project, and then after that we will make APIs for it. Let's get started now. Alright, as we are in the same project, let's create a folder in the root directory first. I'll call this folders as utils, as this folder will handle the utilities of our app with DB connection. In that folder, I'll make a file env-config. This file will get the data from our .env file. I'll use config method, which is provided by Deno, to get the data from .env file. Let's export our MongoDB connection string here. Alright, now create a .env file in the root directory. In that file, we save a MongoDB connection string here. Don't forget to remove localhost to 127.0.0.1 If you guys are using Windows and Linux, you are good to go. Alright, now create a new file in utils folder. I'll name the file dbconnection.ts here. In that file, I'll use Mongo client, which is also provided by Deno. Don't worry, I'll share all the links of Deno imports in the description. Now import the connection string here, which we exported in env config file. Initialize a db variable here and assign the type as database. Now create an asynchronous method here with the name of create mongodb connection. Add a try catch here through the error in the catch block. Now assign mongodb client to a variable here. After that, we will connect the DB by passing the mongodb connection string here. Here we will show console if mongodb is connected. Below, I will return the database name. I'll name the DB as auth, as this project will handle the authentication and authorization. Below this method, I'll pass the method to our initialized variable DB here. Lastly, export both DB and the method we just made here. The final steps will be to call the method when our app is initialized. To do that, what I'll do here is import dbConnection method here and in main.ts file and call that method below. I'll do the same thing in the dev.ts file. Now if I save the file, you can see the console which we added in the connection method in the terminal. Great, we have made the connection now. As you know, in the last video we connect MongoDB with our project and made the UI for login and register pages and also did the integration in both pages too. In today's video we will work on making the APIs and their integration with our client-side project. Let's get started now. As we are in the same project, right-click on API folder and create a new folder auth. As per our endpoint, the register API we will make on API/auth/register, so create a new file here with the name register.ts. In that file, we will make a handler here. This handler will have post object and it will be asynchronous. Also, don't forget to export the handler here. Add a try catch block here and through the response and catch block to client side. In try block, return a response with null values as we are not going to send anything to the client side. The status code will be 201 created and the status text will be anything you want here. Above the return statement, we will get the data from request.json. To check what we are sending from client side, open the register file as we are sending 3 values. Copy the values and paste it in the curly brackets. Now above the handler, get db variable which we got from connection file and name the collection here. I'll name the collection as users. Now first we will check if the username has already existed in the DB. We will tell user to select another name or something. Else what we do is insert that data in DB. Let's add a user in the browser now. As I'm in the browser, go to register page. Open a console here, so if we got any issues, we can fix easily here. Add a user now. As you can see, we are redirected to login, which means the user is created as we made a logic in client side. If status got 201, we will be redirected to login. Alright, let's check the MongoDB compass if the user is created or not. As I'm in MongoDB compass, click on auth as we made our database name as auth. Click on users here. As you can see, the data is created. But there is one thing: the password need to be saved in hashed form so no one knows what kind of password user added. Alright, let's get back to the browser now. Open new tab here. Search for bcrypt Deno and press enter. After that, click on first link now. Here you can read how it's work and how we can use that in our project. Let's copy the import link from here. Open the VS Code again. Paste the import link here. Now if you see the red link on import, just hover on it and click on quick fix and make that import as cache. That red line will be removed. Now before saving the data in DB, let's generate a salt here using bcrypt, and below that I will use that salt to create the password as hash. Now in password field, I'll change the value as hashed password. Alright, I just forgot one thing here to make an interface or modal for our database. Let's create that above. As interface is ready, use that in DB collection. One last thing I want to change, which is open register file in Islands folder, and before redirecting the user to login page, let's show an alert here. In our API file, move the return block to else block now. Everything is done now. Let's check the changes in the browser now. Alright, as I'm in the browser, let's add another user here. Click on Register button. As you can see, we got the pop-up now which shows the user is registered. Great, let's check the user password in the DB now. Open MongoDB Compass again, refresh the DB. As you can see, the password is saving in hashed form now. In the next video, we will work on login functionality. As you know, in the last video, we worked on Registered Page API and its integration. In today's video, we will work on Login Page API and its integration. Also, we will use JWT token and store that token in local storage and also in cookies. Let's get started now without wasting any time. Open a new tab first. I have linked for cookies which we'll use to set token and cookies. Click on Set Cookies. Here you can see an example and its usage with Deno. Alright, now open a new tab first and search for JWT Deno. Click on First Link. Here you can see the usage of JWT and how it's work, and also how we can create token with it. Alright, open the VS Code now. As we are in the same project, create a new file here in Auth folder. I'll name the file as login as our endpoint name is login. Open the register file again and just copy that part of the code from register file and paste in login file, as these part of the code will be remain same. Now create a handler here, same as we did in register page, and through the error and catch block. In try block, get the data from client side from request.json. As we are getting two fields from client side, email and password, paste that in curly brackets now. Now here we will find the user first if it created or not in the DB by using the login collection. If we don't found the user, we will throw an error and a status code with 404 not found. Now below, what we will do is compare the user's entered password with the find user password, which is in hashed form, by using bcrypt method. If we don't get the matched, we will throw an error and a status of unauthorized to the client side. Alright, now come to the main part. Let's create a method above which we'll use to create a token for every user. This method will get the user as param and the type will be as user2. Now I have already copied the code from JWT site which I showed you guys before and adjusted the code according to our project needs. What I'm doing here, create an expiry for token and payload which have user ID and username which we can utilize in client side. Below, creating a key, and lastly passing the key and payload to the create method of JWT. Let's get the token from that method in our handler. Below that, set headers in a variable. Also pass the new URL to the URL variable. After that, we will use set cookies method provided by Deno library. The first argument will be headers, and the second argument, it will get an object of some data. In that object, I will pass the cookie name, which will be auth, and the value will be set will be token. There are other data which can be optional, but I recommend to add that data too. You guys can read it more about other key values by reading the cookies documentation. Lastly, I will set two headers. The first one set the content type, and the second one will set the location, which will be home. In the last, we will set a response with token to the client side. I think everything is set here. Let's go to the login file of Islands folder. In the else part 1, want to show error in the alert 2 if we got any. Alright, let's test the changes in the browser now. Let's create a new user here first. I'll create a user with mail as test user@mail.com. As user is created, now let's log in as wrong email first. Oh, we did not get anything here. Let's check the console what happened. So at line 21 we got the error no user found at response.data.error, but it's not showing an alert. Let's fix that now. Open VS Code again. As you can see, we are getting the error in catch block, so we need to add alert there. As their error location is error.response.data.error, set that in the alert now. Alright, now open our API file and do some changes here too. Let's test the changes in the browser now. I'll log in with wrong email again first. As you guys can see, we are getting the alert from backend now. Now I'll log in with wrong password to test. Great, it's working as expected. Let's log in with correct credentials now. As you can see, we got alert that login successfully and redirected to the home page too. Let's check the local storage if token is stored or not. As you guys can see, the token is stored in local storage and also in cookies too. Great, we have made both login and registered page functionality now. In the next video, we will work on authorization as our authentication is working now, but we need to authorize user to access the home page only when he logged in. As you know, in the last couple of videos, we made the login and registered page UI, plus we have integrated the MongoDB with our project. As both pages are functional, now we can work on authorization now as our authentication part is complete now. In this video, we will make middleware to handle the authorization for the user. Let's get started now. As we are in the same project, close all the open files for now. In routes folder, we will create a new file here which will start from _middleware and press enter. This file will run as a middleware, like every route you visit or every API you call will be go through from here. First of all, we need two methods here. I'll directly import here. The first one is used to get cookies from headers, and the second one we'll use to decode the token and verify the token. Let's make a handler method here. This handler will be asynchronous, and this method will handle every request we made from here. We will use default types which Fresh provides to us. Let's create a variable here which holds our cookie key name, which will be auth as we added the name and login file. After that, we will use getCookies method provided by cookies library from request.header. Let's add a console here to check what we are getting in headers. Let me refresh the page in the background first. As you can see, we get the error because we did not pass the return method. In return, we use ctx.next method, which used to forward the request if everything is fine. Let me refresh the page again in the background. As you can see, we are getting the auth key and the value is our token here. Let's get that token from headers now. To get the token, I'll pass the index as token name here. Let's check the token in console. As you can see, we are getting the token now. Alright, here we use conditional rendering to handle our routes. If we got the token, we will verify the token first from our decode method and check decoded token data from console first. As you can see, we are getting our payload here, which we set while creating the token. Now, if the token is valid, I will make a list of non-protected routes. What I will do here is I will prevent user to go to these pages if he have the token. To do that, first above the main if statement, get the URL from new URL and pass the request.url in it. Now this URL variable holds the all path name which forwarded from user ends or user visited. If any of these path matched with the listed non-protected path, I will prevent user to go there, and instead I will redirect user to a certain path. As user have the token, so what I will do here is to send user to home page if he tries to visit on login page or registered page after login. Now in the else part, if user don't have the token in the cookies, I'll do the reverse process. I'll make a list of protected routes now. Currently, I have only homepage here, so I will pass only /here. But you guys need to pass all the paths here, even you can pass the dynamic paths too easily. Finally, so if user don't have the token and tries to visit the homepage, I will redirect the user to login page. Alright, our middleware is set now. Let's test that out in the browser now and check everything is working as expected or not. As I'm in the browser now, and I was already logged in last time, so let me clear local storage and cookies first. Refresh the page now. Oops, look like a typo error. Let me fix it. I have fixed now. Visit the login page now. Let's visit the register page. I can go there too. Now let's visit the home page. As you can see, I'm unable to go to home page as I'm not logged in and redirecting to login page. Now if I logged in now with the test user which I created last time, as I'm at home page, if I go to login or register page, it will redirect me to home page, which is great. Now if you want to learn more about middlewares, go to Fresh.js website, look for middleware and click on it. Here you can learn as much as you can from here. Hopefully, this will be the second last video of our series. In the next video, which will be a bonus video for you guys, I will share 2 tricks with you guys. As you know, in the last couple of videos, we will work on authentication and authorization by making a simple UI. In this video, I will show you guys 2 ways of handling data, which I learned while working with Fresh.js framework. Let's get started now. As I'm in the same project and in the middleware file, there is one way you can set some data like globally to your app. Like Redux, we can access to data globally on every page. Here how you can do it by ctx.state. After that, any variable name I will use here, I will use user data variable to set token data here. Let's check on console what verify token bracket 1.payload is. As you can see, this is the payload which we set while creating the token. Alright, now to access that data, go to any routes file you want. As currently we only have one page here, I'll go to index.tsx file. In that file, as you know, Fresh provides some data and props. You can provide page props type to it. Now I'll destructure that and get the state value from there. Now let's check what we are getting on console. Let me refresh the page in the background now. As you can see, I'm getting the state data with key of user data which set in middleware. Alright, now move on to second trick. Let's create a file and API folder. I'll name the file testroute.ts. In this API, I will fetch the data from params, and this API will be get API. As I have prepared the code already, let me paste it here. As you know, every API or backend technology used to get data in params. This way we can get the data in params and utilized it as per our needs and sent the updated data to the client side, as I have added a console to check whether I'm getting the data or not. Go to index.ts.tsx file again. Here I will create a component here homepage, and I will make that component in the islands folder. Now in that component, I'll create a method which used to call an endpoint here by using Axiod, and I will send the data as params now. Let me refresh the page in the background. As you can see on console, we get some strange value. If you look into the values, you will see the data which we sent from client side. Now to access that data, we will use get method from query params and pass the key value in it as a string. Now if I'll check the console again after refreshing the page, as you can see we got that which we sent from client side. Don't worry about that warning, it's showing us to send the data this way just. That's it for now. I hope my 3 series on Fresh.js framework will help you understand the Fresh.js framework completely. If you guys like my series, please do subscribe to my channel to support my work. I'll see you guys in the next series now, which will be on MERN stack, hopefully. Till then, happy coding.